Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 3. This video will be just a little bit longer than some of the other week videos so far. I just want to go over a couple things that I am noticing before I start into like the week 3 assignments. So just a few broad general announcements um, to make everybody aware of. First of all, with your modules in Shadow Health, when you have the opportunity and they are asking you to go in and document your assessment, like underneath that S bar, it's more on those focused assignments. So this past week in week 2, it was for the chest pain module. Please make sure that you are elaborating your findings. I know in the real world, we often will chart, the assessment was within normal limits, or there were no remarkable findings, or things like that. And while that is acceptable for this course, I do need you to really elaborate and write out what your findings are. Like talk about what your auscultation of the heart or your lungs, like what did you hear, what didn't you hear, what did you observe when you were checking your pulses, what were your findings with edema? Like, please put all that out there. And the biggest piece and reason for that is it allows me to give you some feedback now so that when you do that physical assessment finding later in the paper that's due, I think it's like week 7 in this course, you'll have feedback from me and know a little bit better about what you need to be including and what is expected with that. So it's just an opportunity for you to get some feedback. And it's also me saying up front, like, please be sure that that is all being written out in that paper and that you're not putting like cardiovascular, like within normal limits, with the exception of pitting edema in left lower extremity. Okay, we just have to be a little bit detailed, putting more out there than what you maybe normally would, and it's just because we are in a graded course, and that allows me to do that a little bit better. So that was point 1. Point 2, again, in those focused assessments, when you're being asked for like nursing diagnoses, like you should be thinking back to your NANDA nursing diagnoses. I don't know, since you guys, you are registered nurses, you are practicing, and you all maybe have completed those programs different places. I don't know what everyone has in regards to like a NANDA handbook. Like when I was getting my bachelor's degree, we had to buy a NANDA book, and it was a book of all of the nursing diagnoses, and that's what we used to help us come up with those nursing diagnoses in our care plans, kind of like you guys are doing on those focused assessments. So, um, kind of refer to that. I will see if I can find like maybe a free resource that I can put up there. It may be, I did find one thing from NANDA, and it was diagnoses like through 2020, but to get an updated list, you have to pay for it. So for the class, I may just post that free resource, and we just kind of all understand that there could be some changes to those diagnoses since it was kind of up until 2020, but at least it would give you a little something to reference when you're making those sections, just to help you with achieving the points in shadow health when you're doing them. The other thing I just want to throw out there, this is strictly an observation on my part as the instructor. When I go into your modules, like when you submit, when Johnny submits his completion, and I go into Shadow Health and pull up the record and look at it, I can see how much time was spent in the module and working in the module and that sort of thing. So something that I am observing is that those of you who are spending more time in the module are getting stronger grades from that module than maybe people who are spending a little bit less time. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's up to you and how much time you have and what you're comfortable with, where you are with your grades and that sort of thing. But I, as the instructor, am seeing that spending a little bit more time in the module seems to be resulting in better grades for each of those modules. All right. I think that is kind of all the general announcement as I had. So let me share with you my screen. Let me move this out of the way a little bit if I can. It might not let me. Okay, and I'll move this. All right. So if we go over here to week 3, you have 3 assignments due in week 3. Your Shadow Health Respiratory Concept Lab, the respiratory system using patient Yuki, and that's going to take you 35 to 45 minutes. And then you do have another one of those focused exams using Danny Rivera, and that's going to take you a little bit longer, 65 to 100 minutes. And let's just double check while we are here. I'm scrolling down. I hope I'm not making anybody sick. Yes, week 7. So the week of February 23rd, that is where you are working on that health assessment paper that I was just talking about. Why I was explaining that we need to kind of be more detailed. That paper is due in week 7. So if you have any questions about this week's assignments, concerns about anything that has happened, is going to be happening, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am here to help and support. I hope everybody has a great week. If you are getting lots of snow, stay safe.